Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Greg?
Hey, everybody. Glad you're here today.
We are. We're excited to be here today. We're going to talk about making more of the work you've already done. I love the idea of working once and benefiting from it over and over and over again. And of course, there are lots of ways that you can do that in the digital world. AttractWell can help you with many of those. And today we're going to get into what that looks like in a very practical sense for you, really amplifying your efforts and how you show up online and get the exposure that your brand needs for your business to grow. And we're going to share a really cool tool that we made a handful of months back that you will be able to use with the process that we share here today. So again, welcome as you're coming in. Say hello, get into the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from and what type of work you do. Who do you help and how? Always curious to know who's on these calls and what kind of impact you're out there making in the world. Again, thank you for being here. This is a free session that we offer every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. There's only a couple of times a year outside of holidays that we aren't here, and next week is one of them. So just keep your eyes out. I have a very special pre-recorded training that's going to be going out on using ChatGPT to build pages in AttractWell. So you don't want to miss that one. We won't be here live. We will be back the following week live, but there is still a training coming for you next week. So just mark your calendar if you normally show up live. We'll be sending out a YouTube premiere link next Monday. All right, we're going to get out of video and get into today's content. We've got a lot to get into. Again, welcome. We're just so thrilled to have you guys here today. This really is our favorite times of the week to be able to get together and meet with you guys and help you get out there and do what you do better. All right, so today we're talking about smarter repurposing. So getting more mileage out of the content that you are hopefully already creating. And if you are someone who's just approaching the idea of creating content, you're going to enjoy this because you'll know that every ounce of effort you put in, you can squeeze out another 5 ounces from that effort. All right, so let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about why consistent content matters, even when you're short on time, what counts as repurposing, and why it's easier than you think. We'll talk about how to use a put those words together, a Trello swipe file to multiply your message. If you don't know what a swipe file is or what Trello is or what those have to do with each other, don't worry. I'll tell you right now, it's a done for you resource. And I'm going to show you how to get it and use it here on this call. This is going to help you multiply your message, saying one thing and having it show up in a bunch of different places with little effort. We're going to share some real examples of how to stretch one idea into many formats and where to share your repurposed content for more reach with less effort. All right. And then, of course, as always, we will get into live help and Q&A. So if you are here today looking for help, looking for support, let's talk. Head over into the Q&A. We've got the founder, creator, coder, magic wizard guy behind the platform, Greg, here in the Q&A in the chat, here to help. And of course, if there's anything I can help with, I will pop in and do the same. So add those to the Q&A here on the live call. If you're watching this as a replay, head over to attractwell.com/office hours and come join us. We're live every Thursday and we'd love to have you. Again, except for next week. We'll be back the week after. But do make sure you get on the list because next week's training is going to be awesome. You're going to love it. I'm going to show you all of the secret ways that I use ChatGPT when I create website pages, because I am not a designer or a coder, but you can pretend like you are. All right, you're going to love it. All right. If you want to work together live, you have the opportunity to do that here every single week. These calls are not just an opportunity to learn more about how to grow your business or how to use your AttractWell system. It's also a fantastic opportunity to get hands-on help. If you'd like to take advantage of this, you can reserve some time in the second half of an upcoming Thursday call at attractwell.com/work review. And if you would like someone on our team to get some of the work out of the way for you, building your website, setting things up, migrating from other platforms, we've got you covered. Go check out our team and set up a zero obligation call at attractwell.com/concierge. All right, let's talk about content and why it's so important. It still matters. Content is how you show up. It's how you get found. It's how you are deemed credible. This is really, really important stuff. And I know you might say, okay, yeah, I've heard it, or, oh, yeah, I get it, but I don't know. I don't think most of us really are maximizing what we need to be doing with content, or on the flip side of that equation, we might be on a hamster wheel. with our content and just kind of throwing effort out there in the hope that something might stick. So first thing you need to know is that getting results with content is not about going viral. It's also not necessarily about being at the top of search results either. Not for the type of work that most of us do. What we really are looking for, what we're trying to hit with our content is consistency first, because that is what is going to build the trust, the credibility, the visibility with the audiences that you currently have access to. Because yes, there are ways for you to scale your reach, for you to employ SEO strategies, for you to engage in paid advertising. But at the end of the day, you are going to grow your stature in a niche and build credibility from there, right? And so you don't have to go and play like your business is Oprah's business, right? to show the world that you are credible. What you can do is show your business to the people who it matters to is consistent, right? That you are somebody who shows up, who they can rely on. And that's really what the point of content is. It's not celebrityfying yourself. It is showing up and really proving through your actions that you are someone that can be trusted and that you are someone who should be sought out, right? So what most people do, because that sounds like a really tall order, right? Most of us give up because it just feels hard to maintain, or we drop it, or we just don't stick on to the most important part, which is the consistent one, right? And so what repurposing is going to allow you to do is to make this something that's sustainable and scalable. You need to be showing up every day at the end of the day, almost every day anyway. And you have to, right? To have that consistency. So does that mean that every day when you wake up, you need to come up with a new idea to share? No. Oh my gosh, no. That's what this is all about. This is about you being able to capture and collect ideas and then spin those ideas into many others with little effort, right? That's the whole point. So what repurposing actually means here is taking it means basically saying the same things everywhere, right? It means reusing your core ideas in multiple ways. It means that one video can become an email, several posts, a reel, a blog, other things, right? And at the end of the day, if you've created any content at all ever, you have more than you think, right? Think of this as a multiplier. When you have one thing, it can be chopped up, right? So if you got a whole object, you can chop it up into 5 different objects. Except with content, those objects don't necessarily have to be as small as they were when they were constituent parts of the original, right? They can expand into larger pieces that stand on their own. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to start with a single idea, right? So we're going to pull from our Trello swipe file. And again, if you don't know what that is yet, I'm going to show you where to get it. We're going to pull from our swipe files, a collection of ideas. Maybe just a 5-minute daily idea capture. We're going to pull from what we collect there. We're going to choose an idea or message to focus on. And then we're going to use that big idea to anchor my repurposed format. So the different things that I'm going to be doing. Now, really quick, let me do just a quick little aside here, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about. What's a Trello board, Ashley? What is the swipe file? What are you talking about? If you need a refresher, we have all of our content planning systems up on our blog. Here you can learn more about a swipe file, what it is and does, what it does for your business, why it is absolutely critical that you have one, and that you maybe get access to the very free and very done for you one that we created for you. And once you have that claimed, you'll need a Trello account, a free Trello account, by the way. You do not need paid Trello for this. You will have a board that looks a little thinner than this one. This one's obviously been used, but you'll have these different organizational structures. Again, check out that training. It's going to walk you through everything. Essentially, what you've got is the first part of the Trello board is where you collect what you're what you're about to work on, what you are working on, and what's been done. And then you're collecting ideas on an ongoing basis in different formats. So what are emails that I can send? Grabbing subject lines that I have read and that I really like, that maybe I want to use as inspiration later. What are some posts that I would like to make? Maybe I'm going to grab, again, swiping is just like Dora the Explorer's friend, right? You're grabbing something and you're putting it somewhere, you're keeping it, right? But what we're not doing here is reusing other people's stuff in a verbatim way, right? This isn't plagiarism. This isn't stealing. This is curating ideas to garner inspiration for other things. And obviously you should follow smart and ethical practices here. If you borrow very heavily, credit the people that you're getting your stuff from, right? If it is a very general thing that you're pulling from, it's a truism, etc. Obviously, you know, that you may have some wiggle room there where that's concerned. Anyway, so what we're doing here is we're just collecting ideas. I need to write emails every week. I need to write an email to my list. I need to put social media posts out there multiple times per week. I need to release a piece of long form content once a week, a blog post, a podcast, a YouTube video. And I need to collect ideas for these things, right? So that's what a swipe file is for. You've got these lists, you've got these cards, I've got templates for you. You got an idea for a blog post, you put it here. Once you pop it in, it's got a checklist for you to complete so you know that you're done with it and how to use the board and everything, right? So did a whole training on this. Please make sure you check it out. I believe Greg may have put that link into the chat already. If you haven't yet, could you pretty please? There it is. I've got it here, I think. Anyway, thank you, Greg. Yeah. So pop that there. It'll be in the description, of course, and on the blog post listed when we publish this video as well. So this is your swipe file. Essentially what you're doing is you are spending 5 minutes a day gathering ideas. Or really, I mean, you don't have to sit down and say, I'm going to build my swipe file. You're opening your inbox, you're scrolling your social media and you're saying, ooh, I like that. And then you come and you put it over here, right? And you don't go and do anything with it just yet. You collect it because we're not on a hamster wheel. We know that we need content tomorrow, but we're going to go ahead and make our future selves proud by planning ahead, right? All right. So let's get back into our training here now that we understand what a swipe file is and that ours lives on this cool free Trello board that is, according to folks in the chat, a game changer and a life changer. Wow. Amazing, thanks. All right, so you're basically going to go grab an idea from your Trello board to anchor your repurposed formats. And I want you to just start with what's easy for you, and then we'll stretch on from there. So the system in action, right? This is your swipe file. It's there for you to store your ready to repurpose ideas, right? So some examples of things that you might include here are maybe a client asked you a question. And so the Q and the A from that interaction could go into one of these cards on your Trello board. Maybe there's a common mistake that you see among folks in your target audience, and you want to talk about that. That's great content, right? Especially if you're going to put common mistake into like a subject line. If you want to get people to open and read or a blog post. Quick tip, also fantastic. That one's a really good one for social media. You want to tag or label your content to match these themes or formats. Now, what does that mean? Again, this is really just kind of recapping what we covered in the swipe Trello board training. But if I wanted to maybe take a common mistake, I want to make that a blog post. And this is the 3 common mistakes if I serve educators make when setting up curriculum for the year. Right, so there's, I've got a blog post here, and actually I did that wrong, forgive me. I'm going to copy this and archive it because I need to do it correctly. I'm going to use a template because my gosh, why wouldn't I? All right, so I'm going to paste that. I now have an idea for a blog post here that is right here. And when I'm ready to use it, I'm going to pop it right over here. So what I wanted to show you is we've got labels here, right? So long form content, and I'm also going to specify that this is a blog because maybe I also podcast. Here we go, it's a blog post. If this is about a particular topic, like a content silo that I focus on, if there's something that I talk about a lot, then perhaps I might add one of those labels here as well. So maybe I talk about productivity a lot. So this is a productivity topic too. So you're going to add a tag or a label in this case, so that you've got the theme covered. If you wanted to quickly find everything that hits on the productivity theme, or if you wanted to find everything that's a blog post, right? And so if you go to filters here, this is how you can actually go through and maybe say, I want to find all of my blog posts. There we go. Or if I want to find everything that talks about productivity, that's just in terms of managing this board. This is what's going to allow you, if you want to repurpose content easily and you say, you know what, I really feel like I want to talk about productivity. First thing you should do is go figure out if you talked about productivity already, right? And if you did, then how can I spin this up? So let's just pretend that this is something that I've already published. Well, there are three things here. I could come up with 5 different iterations of each of those 3 common mistakes, right? So I can identify one common mistake and then go and create 5 different types of content about that one common mistake. And I can repeat it 3 times. That's 15 pieces of content from this blog post. That could be emails, they could be social media posts, lots of social media posts. They could be events, they could be lead magnets, lots of incredible things that we could do with that. And it just really all comes down to choosing to not be reactive in your business and having a really intentional organizational system. All right, so you figure that out, right? You've got ideas in here, you tag them or label them in your Trello board that matches your themes or formats. And then this swipe file is your well-organized, easy to execute on idea bank. And because of the way it's set up, it's not just an idea collector, it's also a planner, right? Because you get to actually see what you're working on and then come back and revisit those things without having to drop the ball and lose context. All right, so let's talk about how we can do this. One idea, 1 hour, you can have an entire week of content. So if you're a health coach, let's say, we want to share a tip that is don't skip protein at breakfast. That's what I want to talk about. I want to make sure that people know that they shouldn't skip protein at breakfast. Well, if you are a health coach, then you could probably rattle off 7 different reasons why one should not skip protein at breakfast, right? So you could turn that tip into a quick video for Instagram or Facebook, or even a longer one for YouTube. That caption from that video can become an email with a breakfast recipe. You could use Canva to pull put a graphic quote together, right? And that can become a sound bite, right? So you could just basically take a Canva quote graphic that you create and narrate over it and put that into your stories. You can blog about that tip with meal ideas and link to a free guide on balancing blood sugar, right? And all of this can be done using Trello, Canva, and AttractWell in under an hour. Trello, of course, because that's where we're keeping all of our things stored for our planning and execution purposes. Canva, because sometimes we just need graphics, right? And then, of course, everything else you can do with AttractWell. So here we can stretch one idea across multiple formats. That one core message can turn into a short video, a reel, a story, a post with an image or carousel, an email, a blog post, a short, or even a live training, a quote graphic. And look, when you're doing this, remember that if you've done it once successfully, copy yourself so that you can do it again. If you send an email and you love that email, save that email as a saved reply in AttractWell. Oh, what's that? You don't know what that means? Let me show you. This is so cool and so easy. It's one of my favorite ways to repurpose my efforts in AttractWell. So if I come over here and let's just say, for instance, right now, I just happen to be writing an email to my list. So I look for newsletter and I write email. And I am dropping some gold in here. I just got a particular bit of inspiration today. Maybe something just happened. And by the time I'm done writing this email, I'm so happy with this. And it says everything that I wanted to say. I want to make sure that I could send this to everyone who joins my list for the first time. Or I want to make sure that I can include this same story or this same testimonial that I just put here into a lesson in a class that I'm creating, or maybe part of my onboard sequence, or maybe I want to add it to a blog post in the future. That's what saved replies are for. So I've got all this brilliance that I've written here, and I'm going to go to saved replies and create a saved reply from a message. And this is going to be story insert. And this one is going to be about balancing blood sugar. And I'm just going to use, can't type and talk at the same time. I'm going to use story insert as my naming convention every time I have a story that I'm sharing. And I want to pull that in, and the topic is balancing blood sugar. So now that's in my saved replies. I send this off, I'm good to go. But maybe I'm writing a blog post and I want to insert that story. Okay, well, I can now repurpose the work that I did before. So maybe I want to actually insert that into my blog post. So here I can go find that story. Here's my story insert. And there's everything that I wrote, right? And it's now right there inside the blog post. And these saved replies, it's in the campaign builder, it's in the class lesson builder, right? You can use these for future emails. So many things you can do there. And the other thing that you can think about here as well, and this is true if you're creating a blog post and you love the way that you formatted that blog post, save that blog post as a saved reply, right? Create saved reply from message, right? And that would be from this blog post. And then you just upload this into your blank screen and replace it with the copy that you want every time you write a blog post. So it's the same format every time, right? Preserve your formatting so you can use it over and over again. You're basically creating genius little templates for yourself. Now, the other thing that you can do here as well, once you have something that you like that's worked well, maybe it's a graphic, then you can actually put it in Canva and reuse it, right? So here's an Instagram post here. And if I like the way that this looks, maybe I want to reuse this, duplicate it, change obviously the copy that's there. And then maybe I need to change the background image, right? Or maybe the colors in the background image need to change, right? Just so it's not an actual duplicate on your feed, right? So always when you need to create something, look to what you've done before. It's not lazy. It's actually really effective because you are creating repetition. People aren't paying such close attention to you that they're going to care about whether or not you use the same paperclip in the same place for a few of your quotes. They're actually going to start recognizing that that's your style, right? And they're going to be associating more strongly with your brand and building that trust more quickly because you are someone that they are able to understand more easily because you're showing up consistently. Does that make sense? So repetition and reuse is actually something that works to your advantage. It's not about starting from scratch. It's not about being the most brilliant content creator. It's about being consistent and supporting yourself and being able to do that, right? So the tools to help you repurpose your content fast. First, that Trello swipe file. You got to get into this thing if you don't have it yet. If you're not creating content, you got to start creating content. And the best way to create content is in a systematic way so that it's easy for you to keep showing up and doing it. Because the only way that content works is if you do it consistently. And if you want to not have content be a slog, right? If you don't want it to be something that pulls you down, drains you, if you don't enjoy it, then batch the work that you're doing, right? Use this repurposing as a batched activity. Factor this into how you plan out how you'll show up for the next month or even the next quarter. You can blow through all of this very quickly if you aren't switching contexts. And I'll kind of walk you through that workflow here in just a bit. You have tools on hand. AttractWell has Write with AI. If you have a favorite LLM outside of AttractWell, by all means, use it. But you can spin your copy. You can actually go in and say, here is the blog post copy from my, 3 tips to X, Y, or Z, whatever. Give me 5 ideas for Facebook posts. Give me 5 ideas for Instagram posts. Tell me how I can turn this into a lead magnet, right? You can actually ask, again, before you go and try to come up with something brand new, you should be talking about things in line with things you've already talked about, right? So why not spin instead of trying to reinvent? Use Write with AI to help you come up with those ideas. Use Canva, of course, to batch those visuals if you are using visual elements in the things that you're creating. And use AttractWell to organize and publish your blog posts and send your emails. And then again, the way to getting this done and having peace in your day, especially if you are someone who derives a great deal of peace from not having to be on social media all the time, batch your work so that when you show up, you're showing up only when you have to do what you need to do and you can get out, right? And then go and do the things that are of higher value or import to you, right? Let's talk about where to share for your best results. Your email. Obviously, this is really important. You need to be showing up to your list on a weekly basis. Period, end of story, always. And so if you don't know what to talk about this week, go back to what you've talked about before and find a new way to say it, right? So your list still matters. Make sure that we are showing up in email. Of course, with AttractWell, you can build and segment your lists and send out emails to keep them engaged. Obviously, we want to show up in our Instagram or our Facebook feed or Pinterest or LinkedIn or wherever you really like showing up. Stories or reels, of course, are, again, if you're going to go and be on social media, take advantage of the different interactive mediums that they offer. If you're creating video, consider getting your video cut up into smaller pieces. Now, obviously, I am not a video editor and I'm not about to sit here and show you how to do that, but there are lots of people who are really good at that who can show you exactly how to do it. Having short form video is a really, really hot thing right now. No matter what age group you're going for, by the way. And so that is something that you may consider doing if video is a part of what you do. Blogging, of course, is a great place for you to get into that repurposing. Again, taking one idea and breaking it down. Remember, if you create a blog post that says 3 ways to X, Y, and Z, each one of those 3 things that you talk about then become an opportunity to show up and talk again, right? Of course, your YouTube, your shorts, your lives. And listen, you have an opportunity here to mix evergreen content with of the moment stuff, right? So evergreen is going to be things like YouTube long form videos and blog posts. Podcasts can fall into this category as well, depending on the nature of the podcast content. And then you've got the stuff that is scrollable, right? The stuff that is consumed in the scroll. So those are going to be your social media posts, your short form, your reels, etc. So you want to have a nice mix of these things. And if you are clear on what your content systems look like in terms of organization of ideas, and you're clear on what it looks like to batch, plan, and execute, then it is really easy to show up. It's not overwhelming to show up. You can follow a clear plan and get it all done. And don't forget, again, you got to be emailing your list once a week. And your list has not read every single blog you ever wrote. So if you have nothing to talk about that week, rehash something you talked about before by literally writing about how this blog post is relevant right now and sharing that link, right? They're not just good once, right? Your evergreen content is good forever. That's evergreen, right? So don't forget, you can reshare old content. If you've got an older YouTube video and it's still relevant, you want to reframe it and then provide the link to that. Same for your blog posts, right? All right, so let's get into what this looks like for you moving forward. First thing you want to do is start with your swipe file. Take an idea that is already there if you are using your swipe file, and then map out 3 to 5 ways that you can stretch and flip those ideas this week. You'll use AttractWell and Canva to batch and schedule, and then you can revisit those previous trainings on swipe files and on content creation with that swipe file if you need a refresher. And just remember, you are so much closer to consistent than you think you are, right? If you've had an idea before, you got more to work with. There's more there. Pick apart the one that you already have access to, and you're going to find that there's gold hiding inside of it. All right, so let's just take another quick look over here at our swipe file. I'm going to clear my filters here. I had a couple of questions. Just think about this for just a second before I get into answering the questions. When you put a topic down, it's relevant to what you talk about already, right? It's relevant to the person that you're speaking to. If you look at it not from the zoomed out context, but if you zoom in, you can immediately think about something that's adjacent to or couched within that idea, right? It's pretty easy. If you remember doing the sort of bubble exercises for brainstorming, like mind mapping when we were younger in school and learning how to organize our thoughts for writing. This is very similar to that, right? And this is really just a place for you to take all those thought bubbles and pop them into places for you to revisit later when it's time for you to revisit them. Now, Denny had a question about what silos are. Now, silos are another way of sort of organizing what it is that you talk about. One of the places that you will kind of find silos in a functional sense would be like your blog categories, right? Because on your blog, you're generally going to be known for talking about topic A, topic B, topic C, right? If you are if you're a wellness coach that helps people overcome blood sugar imbalances, then you are going to be talking about low sugar, high protein recipes. You are going to be talking about fun ways to introduce movement. into your daily routine. You're going to be talking maybe about shopping or dining out, right? Ways like lifestyle choices. So you're going to be known for a few of those things. And each of those things that I listed off, more or less, are silos. They're sort of like that high level topic that most of what you talk about falls under. And we all typically have between, yeah, maybe 2 to 3 and up to maybe 5. I don't think that you need a ton of these because we aren't out here trying to serve the whole world with what we do. We're trying to serve our people with what we do. And if you know your person, then you know that they're probably interested in A, B, C, and D, and then A, B, C, and D become your silos. So if I go and take a look over here at my labels, you can see where I have them managed here. Now I've used this particular board for a lot of examples. So these might not all be necessarily reflective of what it might look like for you, but I've got a label here for self-care. That would be a silo. I've got a label for productivity. That would be a silo. A label for nutrition for women over 40. That's a silo, right? So these are going to be things that I know I'm going to talk about. So if we look at my blog posts over here, you can see that I know that this one, actually, if you click them, you can see this is a social media post and it is nutrition for women over 40. That's a social media post, long form content. And you can actually see where these topics are showing up, right? And those are your silos. They are just, again, it's a general way to sort of take your topics and put them into sort of an organizational structure. Now, if you've got questions and they're going into the chat, I might miss them. So please make sure if you want me to address them directly, that you pop them into the Q&A. All right, you can save it as a saved reply while you're working on it. Yes, Denny, that's right. Yeah. That's kind of the beauty of, like, if you're in the middle of composing a message, for instance, you've already chosen in AttractWell the audience that message is going to. And you can't just like change the audience in the middle of it. But if you are in the middle of brilliance and you're writing something that you want to use again, then you can just go ahead and save that saved reply, maybe leave that message and then go in and refilter for the people you want to connect with, or just save that message because you want to use it again. All right, Angeline says, is there a way to see how the blog post shows up when it's shared to my list? Yeah, so, okay. There's a feature in AttractWell, and it's not one that I personally generally use or recommend. And it's right down here. Where is it? Is it not in this one? Is it just on Get Oiling, Greg? That like send this via email, text, whatever one. Oh, that's an update one. Yeah. So when you go to write a post.
Yeah, that is when writing a post, not updating.
Here we go. Yeah. So there's this feature right here. When it's published, send it to my contacts. Right. So if I wanted to email this out to my contacts, I can email just the excerpt. I can send it to specifically tagged people. I don't recommend doing this, generally speaking. If you're in the middle of writing this and you really like the excerpt that you've created and all of that, that's fine. My recommendation is to just publish your blog post and have it scheduled to publish on a day, and then just link to the blog post. Right. So you guys actually see that when we send out the weekly well newsletter every week. I actually recommend you doing something more similar to that, right? Because the email itself needs to have value. And very importantly, one of the things that we want to do in terms of encouraging behavior in the people that we are influencing, the people who are on our list, one of the things that we want to do is to get them not just opening our emails, but getting them clicking links inside them. Because we are sending from a bulk email sending service, which is already going to have your messages going into someone's inbox with a little bit of scrutiny that wouldn't be there if it was just someone who is your, colleague or cousin sending a message directly to you, or vice versa, right? And so one of the ways that you can improve your send score or your send reputation, which is this sort of indivisible, if I could use my words today, it's this invisible thing that the email service providers have on you. It kind of indicates whether or not people value what you're sending, right? And this is what's going to help influence whether or not you show up in a promotions folder or a spam folder, etc. If you want to show up in someone's primary inbox, they need to be opening your emails, they need to be clicking the links in them after they read them, and then it's also nice for them to hit reply and engage directly with you from that content as well. And so if you are using that feature to publish your blog post directly to someone's email, it's just going to look like it's all of your blog content sent via an email. And if your blog is the, 1,500, 1,000 word minimum that it ought to be for SEO's sake, that's a really, really, really long email, right? So the short answer to your question is, if you choose this, it's going to send a very long email and it's just going to read like an email. And if you choose this, it will just be like a brief, it'll be the subject line and then they have to click through to open and then they'll read it. And then if you choose this, to be similar to text. And if you choose to just email the excerpt, it will send whatever you put down here. I really like to have more control though, right? Because when I send a blog post out, I want you to understand the context in which I'm sharing it, right? Why this might be something for you to pause and spend some time on today. And so the opportunity that you have in sending a newsletter, an email on its own, you have a greater opportunity to actually get that engagement, that click through, and for them to actually go and take that time to read that blog post. So that is my absolute TED talk on why I don't use this. But what I do is after I schedule the post for publishing or I have it published, I copy the link and I go compose a message and I plug that link into the message with a compelling call to action that is relevant to the subject matter of that blog post, right? So tomorrow you're going to receive a weekly well newsletter that is going to not just talk about what we're talking about here today, but really kind of talk about something that is conceptually inclusive of it, but that's something that you might want to reflect on, right? It's something that you might want to consider doing a little differently. And so the blog post is shared there in context with that. So yeah, that's, I don't really love using that feature. It is a quick and easy way to do it if you just need to get it out. And the nature of how you communicate with your list is really just that, like, just got to get it out to them. That's fine. But for most of us, I don't think that's the best move. Okay, let me see. Had another Q&A here. Nope, I think that's it. If anybody else has questions or if you want to pop your hand up and chat together, we've got some time to do that. Adrian says, after we use something from the Trello file, do we leave it there, delete it, move it somewhere else so we could use it again in the future? So if you watch the Trello board training that is in that blog post, then you're going to get a full rundown. But the short answer is this. We have the ideas that we're planning so that we're just capturing here, right? This is literally just, I saw it, I put it here. I had the idea, I put it here. It falls into category A, B, C, whatever, right? And this is just these are buckets. Each of these lists are buckets. Now, when I know that I would like to take an item from that bucket and do something with it, I put it over here. I'm going from swipe to content ideas, right? Now, when I am actively going to be drafting for publication, I move it over here to my drafts in progress, right? And then once they are scheduled or published, first, I'm going to add a date to them, right? So I know that this is a blog post and I'm going to release this on August 4th. So I've got a date on it. And once I have that all set up in my AttractWell system, I've got everything ready, the email is scheduled to go out with it, I can mark this as complete. I do not recommend, in the context of using this Trello board as a swipe file and content planner, I do not recommend archiving anything unless it is truly no longer relevant to your business. Why? Well, for the very reason we are hosting this call today. I want you to be able to repurpose what you've done, for you to be able to go in and filter for every time you have talked about self-care in a blog post, right? And it, or every time you've talked about self-care, period, you want to find those things because now I can go back and I can see, all right, I did this back in March. If this was archived, I wouldn't see it, right? But I would be able to, no, absolutely no. I don't want you to archive, don't archive literally anything on here unless it was a mistake. And I think you can undo archiving, yes. If we go right here, archived items. Yeah, you can find archived items here. So if it was a mistake, or if it was something that was no longer relevant, or actually one of the few things, like if you've got ideas for your website copy and design and you have acted on them, okay, this isn't content, you could archive these. But generally speaking, anything that is content, please never archive it here. This is your archive. This is a working archive where you can go back and find exactly what you're looking for. So yes, your schedule and publish list would get extremely long after a year. Absolutely. But that's what all of these labels are for, right? Because you're not going to need to go back and say, here's what I needed on this date. By the way, there are power-ups in Trello that will allow you to look at a calendar. So you can switch to a calendar view if you are calendaring and actually indicating when things are published. So you would be able to go back and see an archival history of what you posted on this date last year, et cetera. So yes, it would become, if you were just going to be scrolling through this repository of information, sure. But that's not really what this is for. Right? This board is here to be a very large format, growing large format organizational structure where you can easily use its features to go and find exactly the pieces that you're looking for, whether that be date specific or maybe more importantly, topic or format specific. And yes, it would run on forever. So if you, again, if a topic comes up and you say, oh man, I had a client a couple of years ago that had X, Y, or Z thing. And I remember it inspired me. I wrote a post, but what was that called? What did I say? Like you have multiple ways because if you're using the labels, right? For the, for the format, you're using the labels for these, and you could also just search for words too, right? It gives you a way to go and find everything. All right, so after you use something from the Trello file, I got that one covered. Does the free version of Trello do everything you just showed us? Yes. This is, yep. Yes, yes, yes. All of that is free. All you have to have is a free Trello account to be able to use this board. Is there more you can do with it? Sure. But I wouldn't be able to tell you how. The only reason why I personally have paid Trello is because I create templates like this board for you guys to be able to claim from me. Like if you wanted to make a template board for other people to use, you would have to have paid Trello for that. That's the only reason why I have it. All right, can you briefly explain or point to a resource where we could create a blog post versus a newsletter in AttractWell? Yeah, so these are going to be two very different things. And matter of fact, directly contextual to this. So if I go back to here we go. This is the training that Greg had put into the chat. And of course, we'll have this included with a replay. But this is how to create and use a swipe file for faster, better content creations. If you just go to our content planning systems tag here in our blog, these are the two other things that you're going to want to know after you know what I've shared with you today and after you familiarize yourself with the swipe file and how to use it. We go through a month of content planning and we go through a month of content publishing. And this whole system is designed to take an hour or less. Obviously, I'd go through the steps more slowly than you would go through in a system, but these two things combined should take you about an hour to put out a month's worth of content if you follow the system and you're using the Trello board. And in these, in AttractWell, we actually go over the publishing process for a blog post and a newsletter, right? Because every time you put out a blog post, you want to send out some kind of a newsletter that that links to the blog post. So I actually go over not just how to do those things in this particular training, I show you how to do it in the context of this system and using this Trello board that we've talked about here today. So that's going to be, again, when you go to this the swipe file blog post and you click content planning systems, the tag here, it's this publish 1 month of content, right? And you prep for that in the planning 1 month of content. But just as a quick show you in AttractWell, what I would do first, just as a workflow rule of thumb, is I would create the blog post first, which is under your website and blog menu. You go to write post here. And then you can create your post. I am a huge fan of utilizing LLMs for this. I use ChatGPT pretty extensively for this purpose, solely because what I do is I tell it what I want to say. I'm not actually having it do the thinking for me, or even necessarily all of the writing, but I do have it write code for me. Right. So if you notice our AttractWell blog posts, if you click on any of these, they're formatted basically the same way, right? And really the stuff that takes a lot of the time is formatting and trying to achieve consistent formatting. And so what I do is I take the code, which is by this code viewer for a blog post, and I provide that to, in my case, ChatGPT, and I say, here's the locked in format that I want to use, and I share the block of code, and I say, here's what I want the blog post to say. And then it combines the two things. I paste it in as code view, and voila, I have a blog post. So write your blog post, short answer. And then once you have your blog post, maybe you've scheduled it for publication later, you copy your link, and then you go to your dashboard, you filter for your list that you want to send to the segment of your list. Maybe that's your newsletter list. Maybe you have a saved reply that has the formatting that you'd like to use for your newsletter. Let's see if I have one here. There we go, blog newsletter. Voila, there you go. And then I can pop in the link to my blog post here, maybe open that in a new tab. I will put my text in here. Maybe in this case, again, I'll take the text from the blog post itself, ask AI to write an excerpt of it, or give it a, some compelling copy that someone might click through from an email to go read. I would swap that out here, maybe put some images here if I don't have them in there already, etc. And then again, because it's a newsletter, I probably send it at the same time of day, the same day of the week. So I would schedule that to go out at the appropriate time, right? So write your blog post, then grab the link for the blog post, write your newsletter, schedule that newsletter to go out when the blog post publishes. And again, I do go over that in great detail in the subsequent trainings from the Swipe file one. Yes, you can go back and add published dates. So your blog posts are going to automatically publish on the date that you publish them, unless you choose for them to be published in the future. And you do have the ability under the advanced settings in blog posts to change the publish date to something else, right? So this is April 7th of 2023. I've got a podcast about how to start and keep a workout routine as a busy realtor. Under advanced options, I can see this was originally published April 6th of 2023. Republish your blog post. That's another way to repurpose. Just make sure that this is all up to date and is doing what you want it to do. And since that was a couple years ago, I can go ahead and change that publish date to maybe today, right? That's going to be my created date, right? Oh, the Trello board. Yeah, absolutely. You can change the dates in the Trello board as well. Yeah. So maybe if I republish that blog post or reuse that social media post, you can just click right here, right? You see that? All you got to do is just click the date. So that's our due date. If I wanted to change that, I would maybe unmark it as complete. And you can see that there. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, the graphic. So here's the truth about graphics and emails. You really don't want to fool with them too much. I know that it's nice to have things look nice, but it's better for things to be effective. And unfortunately, if your goal is to get people to open and read your emails and take action on them, and to not see your emails get lumped in with the other pile of emails that they have where people are selling them shoes and books or whatever they're into, you need to write your emails in such a way that they look to the email service providers like an email from a colleague or a friend or a relative, right? And a colleague, friend, or relative is probably not going to have a whole lot of advanced formatting. They're probably not going to have a lot of images in the emails that they send you, right? So if you want effectiveness in your emails, worry yourself less about flourishes like images. I think at a minimum, maybe you just have, or a maximum really, you just have an image up at the top and save that as a saved reply for yourself to use as a template and call it a day. That's my recommendation for that. And again, once you have something that you like, take the code for it, right? And then you can go into, again, like I do with ChatGPT. Here's what I do. I'll tell you exactly what I do. Once I get a format that I like, so say an email, for instance, like the weekly well. You guys get the weekly well every Friday. Well, I could go into the code viewer for that weekly well email. I can copy that code and I can basically say, here are the rules. I want it to, sound like this. I want it to include these things. I want the structure to be this way. Here is an example of exactly what I want. I put that into a text file, a .txt file. And anytime I go to ChatGPT and I say, it's time to write the weekly well email, and we're going to be sharing this blog post link this week, I upload that TXT file and say, follow the locked-in format established on whatever that file's name is. And then it spits out exactly what I want in that format, right? And then I just go into the code viewer, paste that in, and I don't have to worry about fooling with formatting. It's there, it's consistent, and all of those little touches. And here's the other reason why you want to be careful with images. If your images don't have alternate text, that's a flag for the email service providers, right? So when you add an email, when you add an image to email, just go grab an image that's here. It doesn't automatically populate alternate text for you. And there's a couple of reasons why you want this. Number one, it's your send score, your send reputation with the email service providers. But number two, importantly, for people who don't have their phones, for instance, automatically load images, it's not going to look like anything at all. It's just going to be blank space, right? So if it serves a specific purpose, then it ought to have its name right here in the alternative text. Are you going to remember to do that every single time you write an email? That's so much work. But if you have created a format that you like and you save it as a saved reply for yourself, then you don't have to start from scratch every time. If you create a format that you like, it has that alternative text worked in, it's got the sizing correct, what have you, you've tested it, sending and opening on mobile and desktop devices, and you like it, it's good, then save it as a saved reply. And then maybe do what I was talking about and copy this massive bit of code that it provides you and use that with your AI tool, your favorite AI tool, to actually generate a new version that you can just paste right in. And you don't have to worry about potentially breaking your template or having it look different than it needs to be. All right, let me see. I got a couple more questions before we get going. Nope, that's not a question. I think we got those. Cool. All right. Appreciate you guys sticking around. Any more questions before we get going? Again, reminder, we will not be live next week, but if you liked that little little brief intro into how I use AI all the time, where things pertain to code, specifically with things that I don't know how to do, like, well, coding, then you're going to really enjoy the pre-loaded training that's going to be showing up for you next week. So don't miss it. Yeah, if we don't have any more questions, we're going to get going. I hope you guys have a spectacular week. We look forward to seeing you back live here week after next. And until then, happy creating, and we'll see you in the Facebook group. Take care, everybody.